Be strong. What does it mean to be strong? When the heart aches and there is no hope in sight. When holding back tears no longer helps. When the road is rough and it weighs you down. How do we stay strong? Stay strong in community, because there is a better life in leading others. Though our lives may not be perfect, and we can't promise you there will be days without the dark clouds, but we can promise to be there when it rains and when it hurts. We will be there with you when all seems bleak. We will guide you to wholeness. We are living your dreams.
Sometimes when things happen to people, this is where they are. They are completely gone. You know, there are some of us here, though you dressed well, you came here today. In the middle of the night, you will stand up and weep yourself to sleep and cry and ask, when will this condition change in my life? You know, when you wept, you thought God did not hear you. He heard you. He had you in the middle of the night. These people were scattered, they were weary, their conditions were not about to change. So they decided to change their position. There are many people in Nigeria who left Nigeria not because they really wanted to. They were looking for a way out of their problems. Have you ever been locked up in a dark room and you couldn't come out of that place? And you were shouting, help, help, nobody even heard you. Have you ever been in a dream? They wanted to kill you in the dream, and you were shouting, Jesus, Jesus, and you couldn't even put your mouth together to shout that Jesus. Listen, God heard you. And at this cure for desert places, He's coming for you. Let your amen thunder, my friend.
Actually, most women, they actually prefer toxic men. When it comes to men who don't...
Oh, hold on, DJ. Now, women, you're going to answer that. I have been told now that you prefer toxic men. Is it true? Okay, hold on.
Okay,
keep it
down.
All right,
let him say something. Let him conclude.
Just hold on.
Hold on, let him conclude, please. Let him conclude.
I'll explain.
Have you noticed that a lot of times, some of the things that also spoil our relationship is porn and masturbation? We shouldn't shy away from these things. We should talk about it. I forgot to tell mothers, fathers, that they need to come and hear. The idea is this. We're not just talking to young people. We are also talking to people who are interested in helping young people. And many of you here, you have younger brothers and sisters that look up to you and want to ask you questions. You heard someone here saying now that he had to go to the internet to try to learn about relationship. It's good to go to the internet, but sometimes some of those contents are very toxic. And you also heard Monique saying here that the reason why we think that a normal boy who is healthy, who tries to show you love, is abnormal, is because of the influence of the internet. All right? So what we want to do is very short presentation to tell you how to deal with pornography and masturbation. We're going to be as real as possible. I don't want you to be afraid of these things. They happen every day. We see them every day. Some of us have been battling with masturbation for 7 years. I met someone who battled with it for 30 years. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know where to go about it. And he started because he was upstairs and he came down and saw his uncles watching porn like you watch football. So he sat down and started watching with them. The next time, he sat down again and started watching with them. It became as frequent as he will watch football, that when they even want to watch, they will start calling him. And then he was less than 10. And that thing took root in his brain waves, in his neural pathway for 30 years. Sitting down here, or someone who's going to listen to me after this time might be going through porn and masturbation. Let's talk about it. So I'm going to be asking you some questions, okay? And I want you to relax. Don't feel that the ground should open for you to enter because we are talking about masturbation and sex and all of that. Don't feel out of place. It's not a judgmental meeting. It's to say everybody is dealing with something. How do we handle it? How do you come out of this place? Now, if you walk up to me and say, oh, I'm dealing with masturbation, I'm not going to say, hey, no. Or you walk up to me now and say to me, oh, that you were originally born as a man, but now you identify as a woman. The ground is not going to open for me. I'm not going to say, hey, run away from. No, I'm not going to do that. Or you come up to you and say that you're battling with your sexual orientation, that you have strong attraction to same sex. We need to talk about these things. We can't be pretending that we don't have them around. So we're going to do some slide work. The idea is, how do you come out of masturbation and porn? How do you come out? So I did this research from Tim Clinton, one of my mentors in helping professional. Doing everything that is possible to help people come out of unhealthy lifestyle. So let's begin by appreciating my dear husband, Kay-Benson Akhigbe. And so many reasons for which I will appreciate him. When you marry, I don't know how to put it, but when you marry God's will for your life, the person is always seeking on how you will improve. Under his leadership, I became a trained inner healing expert, Under his leadership, I have trained as a marriage and family expert. Under his leadership, I'm training as a professional life coach. Under his leadership. Under his leadership, I'm training as a counselor. All of this is because he saw something in me that has to do with helping people. All right. So in one word, I'm a helping professional. So if you're going through anything, we would love to help you. We'd like to come on the sidelines, give you a helping hand, and we'll walk through this process together. So today, let's talk about porn and masturbation. So let's begin with profile. Let's profile Yemi. Yemi is a drop-dead, gorgeous, outgoing young guy in the youth group of her church, or of her church or his church. Decided one night to confide his masturbation problem with one of the adults in the church. A problem he can't seem to get over. Every night, when my parents go to bed, I go downstairs, get on the computer to look at porn. And every night, he says, I go downstairs and get on the computer to look at porn. And every night I masturbate. I have tried to quit. I have promised God I did quit. And I've tried a bunch of techniques I found online, but nothing works. If you look at this profile, this description, this has happened to many of you. Let's take the second, let's profile another person. So this particular person, when the parents go to sleep, he runs into the room to go and do porn. If you heard her friends talking about sexual encounters, she had mixed feelings. She knows it was wrong, but it sounds so exciting. Recently, a friend told her about a vibrator that would give her an incredible orgasm. She found that it does exactly that. She bought one of her own and she keeps it hidden in the back of her closet so her parents can't find it. How many of you have vibrator at home? Okay, how many of you have sex toys? This is the world we are facing, and we're not going to pretend that. So please don't feel uncomfortable. How do I beg you? Don't feel uncomfortable. We need to talk about it so that you can know how to deal with it. Usually, you're supposed to talk about this at home with your parents. I remember that my husband sat down with his son and started telling him that when you get to so and so age, this will kick in. And when it kicks in, he started having that deep conversations with his boy. All right? If they didn't have it with you at home, thank God that we have church. Some people ask us, what is the use of church? This is one of the uses. Let's profile Haruna. Haruna had been looking at porn since he was 10. When his father gave him his first magazine, by the time he was 13, he was paying to look at sites online and masturbating several times a day. That's a habit he has never broken or ever wanted to break. How many of you have paid for sex online? Why is this room this quiet? Am I saying something wrong? He has tried to date some girls, but they soon realize he only wants sex with them. How many boys here, you're dating a girl because all you want is sex? If you have complied, but one threatened to call the police when he was too pushy, he's thinking about looking for prostitutes. How do we help Haruna, Ivie, and what's the first name? Yemi. If they are your friends, what will you do to help them? How many young men here that in searching for sex, you've gone to prostitute site? In fact, my son at home, I have Ifani told me a story. He stammers, so you're going to be very patient to listen to his story. He says he has a friend who manages a porn WhatsApp. She started hook up. Yes, it's a WhatsApp. It's a WhatsApp. So they'll go and get. If people look at me, I look at you back. They'll go and cut. You know how we cut small clip and put on the internet of pastor's message. They will go to porn and cut heavy porn and put in the WhatsApp. So if you're a boy there now, you need a hookup. She will help you hook up with a girl and you will pay money. This room is too silent. How many of you are in Telegram pornography group where all they discuss are sex styles, different kinds of sex? That when you need sex, you just go there, they just cut a little bit and put for you. Just like you listen to Pastor Ben 1 minute message, you listen to, it's damaging. It's damaging. And if you need help, you need to ask for it. All right? So, and I'm going to tell you why it's damaging very shortly. So let's go to key definition that has to do with pornography. Key definitions. What is pornography? Pornography is any depiction of erotic behavior. So I want to call those behaviors writing, pictures, movies, and even phone conversations intended to create sexual excitement. Any erotic behavior that is intended to create sexual excitement is pornography. So these days, porn has escalated that you can have your own personal porn on your phone. On your personal device, you can have it. So you put your earphone on your ear. We think that you're listening to different thinking. You're actually listening to different thinking. Because you're doing something different from all of us. Are we together? All right, so you heard someone asking the you know the question they were asking them? He said, in this distant dating, was there a, what do you call video sex now? What do they call it? Test, sex, sexting. So which means you can even use your hand like this and be having sex on the phone. In fact, someone will now say, if I was counseling a situation online where what was causing problem, the boy was dating a girl and then started admiring another girl and snaps his penis and sends to the girl and snaps again and sends to the girl and snaps without knowing that the two girls are friends. So the boy takes the one that they snap was telling the girl, please send me picture of your naked body, video yourself and send to me. I'm going to tell you how these things damage your brain. If you look at me, I look at you back. Don't look at me with your judgmental eyes. We came here to learn. Okay, so the key definition. So anything you do that creates sex, that sexual excitement is porn. The problem with this is what it does to your brain. But when we get to that, I share. If we don't get to that, I'll share. So what is masturbation? Masturbation is sexual self-stimulation resulting in sexual pleasure and orgasm. So you stimulate yourself and stimulate yourself, you have pleasure, and then you have orgasm. The heart of the debate on masturbation comes down to two primary issues: fantasy and self-control. So sometimes you're fantasizing, you go into, as you're fantasizing, you're creating sexual excitement. I don't want to go into the brain matters. But let me tell you something. There is something in your system. Maybe when this is talking about brain, I'll talk about that. Let's move on. I want to finish. More often, pornography is defined as images that exploit people, dehumanize sexual experiences, treat people as objects. Porn and masturbation go together. So pornography exploits people. A human being is treated like an animal because of porn. Now, see something about porn. You see, there is a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine has the job of passion, has the job of pleasure, has the job of motivation. Dopamine has the job of fantasy and euphoria. It's normally in your system. Now, usually what happens is that when you feel low, you are feeling flat on your emotions, and you start giving yourself something for pleasure, what you're doing is you're activating dopamine. You're artificially activating dopamine, forgetting that it is actually working on the pleasure centers in your brain. A time is going to come, so when that is off, when the entire dopamine you activated, when it's all off, when it wears out, you start feeling low again. That's the thing behind drugs. You start activating yourself. You start looking for something that will create excitement artificially. You do that again and again and again. And what happens? The pleasure centers in your head has a lot of excitement. After some time, it wears off. You do it again, wears off. After some time, the pleasure centers in your brain will no longer be able to stay without being excited. That's how addiction starts. So you keep giving it until it gets to a point where you can't stay without it. And when you can't stay without it, it becomes, you live being a human being. One of my daughters shared a story with me. A boy that has so stimulated himself now that he has sex with bicycle, has sex with trees. So when we are telling you not to, it's not that someone does not want you to enjoy pleasure. Someone is looking at the way, some of you here, the next president of Nigeria is sitting down here. The next governor of Edo State is sitting down here. The next person that will change the dynamics of Africa, put it in one word, the people who will shift Africa from what it is today to the Africa of our dreams, all of them are sitting here. Just imagine that the person is taken out because you gave in to porn. You gave yourself to porn. You have so excited yourself that you're no longer useful to humanity. So you have the dream that you'll be among those who emancipate Africa. You have a dream among those who are going to cause a change in our lives and cause our resources, our money to have value, and cause us to stand in international communities and be proud. But if you allow something as simple as porn, the little pleasure that comes with porn, if you allow that take you out, how would that be? When you are addicted to porn, when you come into sex, you treat human beings like objects. Because what happens is that what you saw on the porn site, you didn't know that they took drugs to create that level of excitement in themselves. You are now trying to use your natural human sense, to create that level of excitement you saw. And you know something about porn, it never satisfies. The more you watch, the more you want to watch. The more you watch, the more you want to watch. So you find out that it starts pushing you in areas of waste. I want you to look at your neighbor. Say, is that what you want to do with your life? Look at it. What did your neighbor say? What did the person say? Okay, so let's continue with the conversation. Let's continue the conversation. So the next word, can someone pronounce this word for me? Misogyny. It's referred to the hatred of women. Is portrayed in violent pornography with the harsh treatment or torture of women, usually by men. This can also happen. A woman can also do this. If you are so addicted, if you have excited yourself like this, you come to a point where when you get into sex, even with your wife, you start being violent. You start torturing your wife. Before you know it, you start looking for, when you want to sleep with someone, you tie the person's 2 hands and tie the person's 2 legs. I want to beat the person because he gives you pleasure. Let's go. Masturbation. You see, I'm interfacing between masturbation and porn. Masturbation usually leads to chronic behavior, and Paul challenges each of us to let nothing master or control us. So let's look at what Paul said. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 12. You say I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. And even though I am allowed to do anything, I must not become a slave to anything. How do you know? How do we know you are damaged when you have become a slave to what you're supposed to control? I'm not talking on drugs today, but some of us have become slaves to cocaine. They have become slaves to monkey tail. You can't do without it. The same way, when you engage in porn and then masturbation, it comes to a point where it is the thing controlling you. So you're sitting down and preparing for your exams. Somebody will say, your body will phone you. Your body will give you a text, send you a text message, your WhatsApp call. You just enter the toilet. As we're here, I'm going to just take 1 shot of masturbation. Just imagine that you're addicted in that manner, and you are supervising, you're a director of a large company with a lot of workers, and you are in a very serious staff meeting where they are brainstorming, where they are strategizing, and innovation and creativity is needed, and you are addicted in this way. And in the middle of the meeting, your body gives you a phone call. The brain nerves, the pleasure center in your brain says, oh, I need some excitement. You will leave the meeting and use your phone and control one sex worker to the toilet in the middle of very serious meeting that will change the dynamics of your life and the lives of those affected around you. You don't need that in your life. When you get to a point, let's read 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 3 to 5. I want to show you also how to control it. God's will is for you to be set apart for him in holiness, and that you keep yourself unpolluted from sexual defilement. Yes, each of you must guide your sexual purity with holiness and dignity, not yielding to lustful passions like those who don't know God. So the question becomes, how do you guide your sexual? There's nothing wrong with sex, but how do you guide your sexual purity with holiness and dignity? How do you get to a point where your sexual life is barricaded by some kind of dignity and purity? That's the convert. That's why you're here. That's why you're here today. How do you keep yourself from being unpolluted from sexual defilement? Now, sex within the context of marriage is a beautiful thing. Let's go on. Women and men of all ages practice masturbation for the purpose of pleasure, self-exploration, or even escape. That's why you derive some kind of pleasure. You derive some kind of adventure. Sometimes it's your way of escape from the troubles of life.
Mommy, I love you for this. God will bless you for me. I was a victim. As in, I was a victim of this particular topic you are speaking on. First of all, I started when I was very young. When everybody has gone to sleep, I'll be watching TV. Maybe they'll be doing music. But later in the night, middle of the night, they'll start showing porn. So I didn't know that that thing was damaging me until it get to a certain point in my life that I needed help. I was struggling with it. Even when I would go to a church program, they will pray for me. I will roll on the floor. In fact, they will even tell me that I'm delivered. I will still go back. As in, it continued until the day I met a book, the Triumphant Church. If you are not reading a book, as in, most especially the one that are written by men of God who know what they are doing, not the one that will tell you they will deliver you and they will never do. I read that book. That was when I knew what deliverance means. To be delivered, you have to recognize that this is a problem. That, as in, I am dirty. I didn't know that you will come to this point. A few days ago, I was meditating when Jesus Christ was showing me what happened in Gadara. That an unclean spirit will make you do something ordinarily you will not do. But they are now realized that I was being possessed by a demon, and that was an unclean spirit. So I started addressing it. So at a time I was delivered. I was free when I read that book. I knew I was free because my mind has never go there again. Then one day I was watching a film, Addicted. As I was watching that film, I realized that when I was waking up the next morning, because I would watch that film from morning till evening. I keep watching. I didn't know that the devil was using that film to remind me of who I was. So when I was waking up, I was dreaming it. I didn't know I was doing it until I woke up to see that I was engaging in what the Lord has dragged me out from. That day, I deleted that film and I told myself, Becky, you are not going back. So I realized that Christ, even when the devil remind me, I will tell him, I am not unclean and I cannot be possessed by a demon. First of all, the person has to realize that this is a problem. I want to be free. As in, you have to be free first from your mind. Let your mind be clean, as in, make it pure. Let Jesus Christ come in so that he can clean you up from that mindset before you can be able to deal with it. Because you can, even when you say that you want to stop it, you cannot stop it until you are tired of it. Thank you.
Be strong. What does it mean to be strong when the heart aches and there is no hope in sight? When holding back tears no longer helps? When the road is rough and it weighs you down? How do we stay strong? Stay strong in community, because there is a better life in leading others. Though our lives may not be perfect, and we can't promise you there will be days without the dark clouds, but we can promise to be there when it rains and when it hurts. We will be there with you when all seems bleak. We will guide you to wholeness. We are living your dreams.